So, what happened on Wednesday? I'll tell you, a really, really strange day of baseball, including a play that I've watched 7 or 8 times, and I still don't know what happened. And I like to think I know a few things about the game. It's your pal Sully, and this is Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. If you're reading my lower third right now, you know that you can call me Sully. This episode is being dropped on the final day of June 2022. That would be the 30th for those of you keeping score at home. Thanks so much for making it your first listen, as we're available on all your free podcasting catchers. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. You can follow me at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. I got a request the other day that said, why don't you just recap what happened in some of the games? And I had said that, a lot of times these games end too late, and your pal Sully can't go to bed. And, I have to get up in the morning. Well, to tell you what happened today, I have a whole podcast that I mentioned that we recorded with Miller Thomas that was supposed to drop today. But this was such a strange day of baseball. I'm holding it off for tomorrow. That's going to be my Friday episode that's already recorded, ready to go. It's Miller and I talking about our top World Series contenders and MVP contenders. Sorry, a little thing got in the way there. This was such a strange day of baseball that I felt that, it's worth staying up a little later to talk about it, especially for those of you who are, get to bed at a reasonable hour. There were some straightforward things that happened that were just cool, like the fact that Shohei Ohtani, just a day after he hit a home run and got a double and showed off all he could do with the bat, he came up on the mound against the Chicago White Sox, struck out 11 batters in 5 2/3 innings. He did throw a ton of pitches. He threw 108 pitches. But he did not allow a run, and the Angels got a victory over the Chicago White Sox. Mike Trout, surprise, got a big hit in that, a big double in the gap. And they were wearing their, the city uniforms? The one with the kind of the cursive Angels and the white cap. Those should be their uniforms. I'll say it. They look better than their normal uniforms. Your pal Sully's a fan. Rowdy Tellez had a big game, hitting a pair of home runs, and the Milwaukee Brewers got a victory against the Tampa Bay Rays, and which, again, I believe would make a really interesting World Series matchup, would be the Rays versus the Brewers. And I mentioned that last year, because I thought it would have been a very intriguing World Series to have these two teams. Neither franchise has ever won the World Series, filled with good, solid, hungry players looking to win a title. And more than one person said, well, don't you think that would be the lowest World Series ratings of all time? Of which I respond, I don't care. I'm not a spokesman for Tide or someone trying to, sell ad space during the World Series. What do I care about their ratings? Now, here's the deal. The most interesting game that took place on the 29th day of June 2022 was between two teams that basically don't have a chance, barring an absolute unbelievable second half from one of these two teams. These are two teams playing out the string. And so when a very weird thing happens, well, then that's what you have to every once in a while point to. Now, the Nationals and the Pirates played a day game in front of friends and family in Washington, D.C. And Bryan Reynolds, not the dude who played Deadpool, wound up having the game of his life. He had an unbelievable game. He hit 3 home runs, and uh, he accounted for 6 of the Pirates' 8 runs. It's safe to say he owned baseball. Anytime you hit 3 home runs, you drive in 6, he's putting on a show. Maybe he's going to be a trade chip. I don't know. Neither do you. There's a bunch of teams that we're talking about, including Cleveland, who also played a strange game, but not nearly as strange as this. Now, close game, 8-7 was the final score. Bit of a slugfest. As I mentioned, 6 of the Pirates' 8 runs were driven in by Reynolds. But that's not the run I want to talk about. There was a play that was so strange that, again, I watched it a couple times, so I wanted to get on top of it. I don't understand what happened. There was the Nats were on the field, okay? And I have it playing on a loop right here. It's like the Zapruder film. I'm trying to understand this. I've watched a lot of baseball in my life. In a Pirates Nationals game. And yes, I put myself in the third person. Okay. Jack Sawinski, who hit a 3 home run game a couple weeks ago, was on third. Hoy Park was on second. And Bryan Hayes, who I thought was out for the season. Whenever anyone has a slight injury, I think their career is over. Bryan Hayes hit a line drive to Josh Bell, the first baseman who should be an all-star of the Washington Nationals. So it was 1 out. He hits a line drive. Josh Bell catches it. Now there are 2 outs. Now, the runner who was at third base, Jack Sawinski, had already made a break for home when there was contact. I think he thought the ball was either trapped or hit the ground. So he burst for home. Bell throws across the diamond. The Adrianza, the third baseman for the Nationals, catches the ball and tags the runner Hoy Park, and then steps on the bag, basically to say, hey, look I'm going to complete this double play by hook or by crook, whether it's by tagging him or touching the base. Boom. And Sawinski, who did not tag, ran and touched home plate. It would have been a triple play if there was only 1 out. The Nationals saw, okay, Bell makes the catch. That's 2 outs. Throws it across. Adrianza tags Hoy and touches third. There are now 3 outs. The Nationals do what anybody on the planet Earth would do when you saw your team just got 3 outs. They walked off the field. They headed back to the dugout. There's Bazooka Joe comics to read in the dugout. But, and this is the part I don't understand, the umpires said that Sawinski's run counted because the Nationals ran off the field. They didn't appeal the runner breaking home. And so the third out was not the appeal play to touch third base, and Sawinski's out. The third out was tagging Hoy, the runner who was at second base. Now, I've read now a couple articles about this. I've watched the video. I've heard the umpires explaining it. And it's kind of like the end of the movie Trading Places, or maybe The Big Short, or anyone talking about what insider trading people do and everything like that in the stock market. No matter how many times, or NFTs. How about that's another thing? No matter how many times someone describes to me what an NFT is, I still don't know. Is it a photo? Is it a JPEG? What the hell is it? And I had that same feeling listening to they walked off the field before they appealed. What? But he can't, so you have to tag up. You have to tag up and score. And they called New York, and New York said, yeah, the run counts. So obviously people who know the game better than you, know the rule book better than me, understood why this happened. I'm just totally perplexed. And Washington was totally perplexed. And guess what? Pittsburgh won the game by 1 run. So you could make the argument that that was the deciding factor of the game. The only thing that keeps this from being an absolute catastrophe is the fact that neither the Pirates nor the Nationals are contenders. But I still don't understand it. How could that run have counted? He didn't tag. And now there are 3 outs. He would have to run back and tag. And it's too late. There are 3 outs. But because they walked off the field, that the run counts? I mean, look at I've actually I'm going to pull back the curtain as you're watching me on YouTube. It's playing on repeat right here, and I still don't understand it. I got stumped. I don't get what happened. I do not understand why that run counted, and I can tell you right here and also right now that if you were in where was it? Where was the game being played? I think it was at PNC Park. If you were at PNC Park watching the game, no, I'm sorry, it was at Nationals Park. It was in Washington. If you were watching that game, you would have been confused like the RCA dog staring into the speaker on the record label. It's one of the few times that I can honestly say I don't know what just happened. I don't know why that run scored. If you have any idea, go ahead. Send me a note. Tell me something. Send it to me via Twitter at Sully Baseball. And it's a surefire bet that if you have a correct solution for it, I will read it on the next episode. And if you're going to make any bets, go to BetOnline. It's your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. Got to update that copy. It's not, we don't have NHL playoffs anymore. Congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche. Maybe you're putting those bets for next year's Stanley Cup. Go Sharks. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcast news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. I got a couple of people who were in vehement agreement with me about the whole vaccination and the fact that the Red Sox are playing with a depleted bullpen in a key series. Well, guess what? It almost came back to bite them again. Almost. As they had a lead in the 8th inning, and they could not turn to Houck because he doesn't want to get a little ouchy and he doesn't believe in shots. Hey, look, at a couple of people who I had a little bit of a Twitter exchange with who were talking about it's his right to not have it and they can't force it. Maybe you're correct philosophically. Maybe. Okay? But that doesn't mean you're free of consequences. Your decision to make an anti-science, selfish decision is your right to make, but that doesn't mean you're shielded from the criticism. Now, the Red Sox got really lucky. Brazier blew the save. Schreiber pitched well in the 7th. Another fine performance by Pivetta. And Verdugo got a big home run. Franchi Cordero got 4 hits. And the Red Sox blew the lead in the 8th, and then they opened it up, scored 3 in the 10th. So it wasn't just the stupid ghost runner going. Verdugo drove in a couple more runs. But then they had to bring out poor Strom, and he pitched. He may still be pitching out there. He hadn't pitched 2 innings all year. My day, they went 9. Just shut up about your day. And he wound up pitching. How many pitches did Strom pitched 41 pitches, and he was gassed. And he let up a pair of runs and had the tying run at 3rd, the winning run at 2nd, and George Springer up in an at-bat where there were a bunch of times 1 strike away, fouled off. All George Springer had to do was get a base hit, and we would have once again had the Red Sox bullpen blown a lead. Now, for Red Sox fans, thankfully, for Toronto fans, Springer popped up and the Red Sox won the game despite the fact that they had a depleted bullpen. The fact that the Red Sox got away with it barely, just barely, doesn't change my opinion on making a decision, an ill-informed decision that hurts your team. I'll criticize that all day. All day. The Red Sox held on, and they're going to head off to Chicago, who are licking their wounds from losing to the White Sox. Met fans are doing what they do best, which is panic unnecessarily. Verlander pitched a great game for the Houston Astros, and the Astros wound up blanking the Mets 2-0. Let's take a look at Verlander's line. 8 innings. Why not have him throw the ninth, Dusty? 8 innings. I don't like to look at win-loss record, but he has already won 10, and his ERA is 2.03. He's pitching like an ace again, that Verlander. And it was Castro drove in all the runs of the game in the 9th inning. Now look at Met fans who are running around like a chicken with a head cut off based on losing the series to the Astros. The Astros are a really good team. In fact, the Astros might even face you in the World Series. But don't panic. Your team is still doing well. Yes, it was it was discouraging to lose a game 2-0. But you know what? There's no shame in losing to a team like the Astros. Just dust yourself off. Know that the you still have, after everything, still have a 3-game lead, even though the Braves are on a 2-game winning streak, because the Mets are on a 3-game losing streak. Just these things happen. This is why you build up the big lead. I don't want to hear any more panicking from Met fans. By the way, the Yankees could wind up winning 130 games. That's just how it is. The A's scored 3 runs in the first inning, and that's it. And it's basically a head start. They go, we'll give you a head start. We'll give you a 3-run handicap. If you're a Yankee hater, just come to grips with the fact that the team is not going to lose this division. This sort of game they played, which was a day game against Oakland, was the exact type of game that they would have lost last year, that they would have won the first 2 games of the series, and Boone would have basically taken his foot off of the accelerator, and they would have dropped that game. But hey, we won the series. We won the series. This team is all about sweeping. The A's can't even make a 3-run lead at the top stick. Clay Holmes is pitching at an unbelievable way right now. The Rangers lost. Zach Greinke. We're turning back the clock to all Cy Young winners from the 2000s. Greinke pitched a terrific game. He's calling himself an old man as he is. He's been around a while. He's been around a great big while. But he's he had a terrific game. Kansas City won, and that prevented the Texas Rangers from getting to the 500 level. Some other games include Mike Clevenger pitching well, beating Madison Bumgarner and the San Diego Padres. You got to see Luke Voigt got a big RBI single, and the San Diego Padres are continuing to play outstanding ball. The Giants aren't playing outstanding ball. They're still on the outside looking in the wild card chase. They still have a winning record. Alex Wood lost to Garcia and the Tigers. Eric Haase. Is it Haase? I've never said his name until just right now. He hit the big 2-run home run. That was the difference in Detroit's 3-2 victory. The Mariners have a bunch of suspensions, and I guess they're appealing a bunch of them because Julio Rodriguez, who inexplicably was suspended in the big brawl, hit a 2-run home run. The Mariners tripled up Baltimore 9-3. Chris Flexen getting the decision for the Seattle Mariners. Mariners are still obviously having a very disappointing season. Flexen threw 6 solid innings, and you also got Toro got a pair of hits, and Haggerty got 3 hits. Haggerty got 3 hits and then was pinch hit for in the 8th inning. Sometimes I don't understand what managers are doing. Sometimes it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Wrapping up our look around the league includes the Cubs beating up the Cincinnati Reds by a score of 8-3. The Dodgers doubled up the Colorado Rockies. Will Smith got a big 2-run home run. Cody Bellinger hit a big home run as well. Julio Urias got the victory. And Sandy Alcantara threw a complete game as the Marlins rallied in the ninth inning to defeat the St. Louis Cardinals 4-3. And again, maybe any other day this would have been the wildest game, but you had a 3-home run game between Pittsburgh and Washington with a ruling that makes absolutely no sense. But the Twins and Guardians, again, all these games have been playing against each other. Today basically was yet another weirdo classic. Went into extra innings. In extra innings, you saw Carlos Correa single home the ghost runner, and then Max Kepler hit a 2-run home run to make it 6-4. 6-3 Minnesota going to extra innings. Then Rosario doubled to make it 6-4, and then Josh Naylor with 2 outs and 2 strikes hit a 2-run home run to give the Guardians a 7-6 victory. And with that, the Guardians have pulled back to within 2 games of Minnesota, and they face each other this morning on the 30th. So if Cleveland winds up winning that, the Guardians will be only 1 game out of a playoff spot heading into July. Wild, strange game being played there. But the heartwarming story of the day came for the fact that there was a player where, well, let's just be honest, it was a long, long road for a former first pick overall. Mark Appel was the number 1 pick in the draft, and by the Houston Astros, when the Astros were obviously picking early, and the number 1 overall pick in 2013. If you had said, if I gave up to you in 2013 and told you by 2017 the Astros would be a World Series winner, you would assume that Mark Appel had come up and been the ace that everyone thought he was going to be. Instead, injuries and ineffectiveness made him step away from baseball in 2018. He tried to come back in 2021, and today he came in and he threw a scoreless inning in the game between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. The Braves wound up winning the game, but you know what? I feel so much happiness for Mark Appel. I don't know the man. I don't know, how much of his injuries or his downfall were based upon anything he did. It just seemed like he was snake bitten, and he was the number 1 pick overall. And he was probably, he'll probably never live up to the stature of a number 1 overall pick. But with this game, Mark Appel gets to forever erase the fact that the Brian Taylors or the Steve Chilcotts, the number 1 picks overall, who never made it to the big leagues, those lists will never include him. He made it. He made it to the major leagues. Is he going to stay there? Is he going to be a major leaguer for more than this year? I don't know, and neither do you. But there's always that kind of sad story that he would be listed as one of the frustrating stories of the history of the draft. And now he's removed himself from it. And this is after he had cemented his legacy of being someone who was a number 1 overall pick who couldn't even make the major leagues. He stepped away, came back, and here we are. He's a major leaguer. And you know what? If you play even a single day in the major leagues, the gauntlet that it takes, not just in terms of injuries, but you have to excel at this level of minor league, then this level of minor league, and then this level of minor league. There are so many ways even the most talented players can get tripped up. Mark Appel, watch him become a great reliever for the Phillies. But the fact of the matter is he is now a major leaguer. Just for 1 inning, fine. We're starting with 1 inning. The number 1 overall pick by the Houston Astros in 2013. Did he turn out to be the big ace star they would hope he'd be? No. But he's a big leaguer, and that's pretty cool. Hey, tomorrow I am going to play the episode that I did with Millard, where we break down the World Series contenders, and we're also going to break down who we think are as the MVPs of the leagues and everything like that. And we break it down with our top 4, and in order of who we think is going to be the biggest World Series contenders. Hey, thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia and is going deep into the Major League Baseball stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Talking about a strange day of baseball that includes a former number 1 draft pick becoming an underdog, a unlikely player launching 3 home runs, a depleted Red Sox bullpen hanging on for dear life, the Cleveland Guardians hitting the big home runs in the bottom of the 10th inning to keep the division race tidy, and a run scored in Washington, and I have no idea why. This is Locked On MLB for the 30th day of June 2022. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.